So I would say after working with Madak for 2 years, our hopes were to come away with a strong foundation to continue to grow Huskie Rugby. And what that looked like for us is an organized board of directors with goals and targets, a website that was built out to both help from a recruiting standpoint and engagement from an alumni standpoint. And then, you know, kind of a know-how of how we want to set up marketing our brand as a collegiate rugby program to our community, to recruits, and to our alumni. I think those are the, three pillars that stand out of what we were hoping to get out of our, 2-year commitment with Madak. I think when we decided to move forward, it helped, we had to have buy-in from the board of directors that this was the direction that we're going in, and that we are going to use Madak as a vehicle to kind of push us forward and help motivate us and keep momentum. And I think the first step, where we were able, in the early months with Madak, we were able to outline a good program of action items of what we needed to meet. They were based around a website and getting a website stood up, what we wanted out of that website, how we wanted it to look, and then also kind of put together, what we would need to help fund this. And, Madak was a huge help in leaning into, what we have is our alumni weekend, where we have a benefit dinner. They were able to help take knowledge that they've had working with other clubs and bring it in with great suggestions, so that we could it wasn't necessarily reinventing the wheel. We could put our own spin on it and use it how we felt was like the Huskie Rugby way, but we weren't starting from scratch, which was very nice. And I felt that was kind of a really good way to start. And so we just, in those first few months, were able to put a roadmap together with Madak's knowledge and what we wanted, and then just try to stick to that roadmap. It's very much a kind of, you get out of it what you put into it. And we just made sure that we were motivated and engaged with Madak, so that they always knew what we wanted, and then from our directional standpoint, and then they could provide their finishing touches or marketing materials and stuff that then helped bolster us. And so you kind of very much work in tandem. But as a board, if we start lagging, then we're not giving Madak the material or direction that they need to kind of do what they do best. So I would say the first few months, the best thing was that we were able to put a roadmap together for that first year. And what we wanted to get out of it was a better brand presence, a tight website that we could use for alumni engagement and recruitment, and building out a stronger fundraising platform for our next steps. It's kind of funny because I was almost a little bit skeptical in the beginning, but I'm very happy we did it. I think we wouldn't be in the position that we're at right now 2 years later without Madak. And I feel, from an alumni or from a club standpoint or an alumni association, however, different clubs are set up, you need to have a vision of where you want to go. Madak will not give you that vision. They will help you reach that vision, but they can't be the ones to say, okay, well, you should go do this. That's something that only the club or the alumni association can do. And then, Madak is kind of like the fuel to get you there. And so whether that's one person or a board of directors or an association, I don't think that really matters. Obviously, more hands make lighter work. So if you can have multiple people on the club side provide feedback and thoughts, then you'll have a better product in the end. But Madak is very much, they're more than just a marketing company, because they can do all of the marketing, but they're very good at working with you on strategy and how to put stuff together. but without the content and the information of where the vision is and where you want to get to, it makes it difficult for them to kind of help achieve the goals that you want. So I think however your club is set up, you need at least one, hopefully more people involved and willing to put in the work over this period of time, so that Madak can take everything that you give them and mold that ball of clay into something, that you want in the end. So our commitment to Madak was $50,000 a year over 2 years. And I think the 2-year commitment is extremely important, because you can't build everything in just a short amount of time. It's something that takes time to breathe and expand and work towards. And so it's a $100,000 commitment. And out of that, with the help of Madak, we have had 2 very successful alumni weekends and benefit dinners where we've raised, almost just in those 2 nights each of the years, over double that. We've raised over $200,000 between those 2 nights. And we wouldn't have done that, that wouldn't have been as successful without Madak. So that has paid for its, the investment right out of the gates, just with those fundraising nights. But above and beyond, working with Madak and having a vision provides, legitimacy. So when your alumni association and all of these old boys that you're going out to saying, hey, look at what we're doing, we'd love if you could, re-engage with us, whether it be, through participating in alumni weekend or financially donating to the club, we're able to put a product or a plan in front of them with Madak's help that says, okay, this won't be wasted on a drink cup, or it won't be, used in this fashion and just kind of flushed down the toilet. The alumni will be more engaged in it. I look at it kind of like growing a business, where if you can put a good plan together that you can present to potential donors, they're much more likely to donate money to you, versus if you just say, okay, well, we'd like to do this and like to do that, then, you're probably not going to get as much. And so that's where the Alumni Association vision meets Madak. You can have your vision, and the Madak helps put that plan together. They make it look very pretty and professional, depending on if you need actual presentations. But then that has probably helped us bring in, multiple hundreds of thousands more in donations from alumni. So, if we're going to kind of look at the grand scheme of things, for $100,000 donation, we've probably raised, $400,000+ from that with the help of Madak. Especially with youth these days, they want to be noticed. They want to have the social media aspect, the marketing aspect, and it's very much a part of culture and sports these days, and maybe not something that most rugby clubs focus on. From a recruiting standpoint, and just from a University of Washington standpoint, when I first came on as or took over the Alumni Association as president, we had a season where we were ranked 100th. The next year we were ranked 50th, and then this past season we climbed all the way up to 22nd. There's a number of things that go into play for that success that we've seen, but over the last 2 years, with Madak's help, they've been able to provide assets that allow the coaches to then go out and recruit, whether it be flyers or social media posts to work with, or templates to work with. We're able to put out a more professional looking product to the potential recruits that we're looking at, which makes a big deal when it comes to an athlete looking at where they want to go. If you get something if you don't get anything, you just say, hey, I'd love it if you come play for us, versus a coach that comes to you and has some professional looking presentation about where the club is, what our goals are, who we have coming in. It makes a huge amount of difference to an athlete and where they're deciding to go. And so we've seen, again, over the past 2 years, with the ability to, and Madak's help, to now give out scholarships, we've seen incoming classes increasing, just due to the fact that, we have been able to put a better product in front of them from a marketing standpoint. And, I think it just will continue to grow because, the brand that we're putting out there now is taking hold in the community and, the greater, region, and people see what we're doing. And the parents see that we're more serious about it. The athletes will be able to get more excited about it. And that all comes from, the kind of outward facing marketing that we are putting out there through, with Madak's help. So the great thing about Madak is when you engage with them, the early months, they help you put a strategy together and a roadmap together of how your vision can unfold. And they're basically like a plug and play team that comes in and takes a lot of the weight off of both the board or association, but also the club and the coaches. Whereas the board and coaches might have had to do the work in the past, Madak comes in and takes all that work off their plate. So it allows the coaches to coach and recruit, and it allows the board and or association to just be able to push the vision forward. And Madak is with you right there, providing all of the needed help that you wouldn't otherwise get. So in my opinion, the commitment of $50,000 a year over 2 years, you get much more out of that by working with Madak, and it should provide a lot of momentum for your club to grow and allow the coaches to coach and do what they do on the field so that they can grow the product on the field. And it also allows your board and your association to not have to worry about the marketing side of things and be able to focus on the grander goals.